Welcome back, everybody, to the TI4 Qualifiers presented by Monster Energy. I'm now joined by K-Pop Toasters. We've got Sunsfan being replaced by AC.
Put on some weight really quickly.
Yeah.
Got a little shorter, too. I think Shannon's a little taller than me.
Lost a couple octaves.
Yeah. one or two.
Yep. Well, we've got our next tiebreaker match coming up. It's going to be the Nyx Assassins up against Union. So the winners of the previous match. So big story here is Nyx win. They're through. They're third place. Not that it matters whether you're third or fourth, but Nyx have to win this. They're guaranteed in the playoffs, and we go to a decider between EHUG and Union. Right. The match that was never even played. The only match that qualifies.
That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It's kind of a nice way that if we get to that to end the day. Like, that would be like the perfect ending to the qualifier.
Yeah, it should have started with that game, and it does not end with it.
Yeah.
So, cyclical, circular. There we go.
So, predictions?
SNA looked really good in the last game.
Yeah, they did.
But
EHUG also looked pretty good, I thought, last
Union's running that, got that motivation.
Union has
going.
got to be coming off a high, and one of the thing is like that game. It was nuts to be a part of it because it was action packed to begin. Then it just kind of got dead, and then it picked back up all of a sudden. Now they've had a little bit of downtime's a thing, and it's like, how have they reacted? Are they keeping up with all of the drama? Are they keeping up with everything that's going on? Or are they just still riding that high and saying, you know what, we don't care about the outside world. This is our chance to play ourselves into the next round, and this could literally make or break our career in esports. So I think if they've got that mindset, but then again, it's Sneaky Nyx Assassins. These guys aren't exactly inexperienced.
Yes, and I think for Sneaky Nyx Assassins, they're probably, at the same time, they won that previous game, but I imagine they're just a bit razzled in general because they were probably thinking, oh, we're in the playoffs and all that, and then suddenly all of this has happened where we're in this tiebreak scenario where they didn't expect to be, and not just because of the Liquid Union game, but also just because they lost against some teams they shouldn't have. Like, SNA have not had as cruisy of a qualifier as they were probably expecting to.
Yeah, they lost some clutch games. That if they really wanted to, not have to be at this point, they should have won some games they were supposed to. So
yeah, I think they have themselves to blame more so than anything else.
I would agree with that entirely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So looking at this game, I mean, you've seen one or two Union games. You've seen quite a bit of SNA. What do you think are some of the key factors?
I actually haven't seen SNA at all. Like so far as actually casting. This is the first chance.
They're fun. Day one, you got shafted on the games a bit.
I did.
I say that like all the games are amazing.
The guy who made the casting
all the teams are amazing.
Let's be real. I didn't get to cast many of the favorites.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun casts. Certainly working with with you and the Merlini's been a blast. But yeah, I haven't seen SNA yet. Union Gaming, I did cast on day one, and I casted earlier today. And they're a team that'll creep up on you, and you see them do it every once in a while. When they get things together, especially if they get Ewo, a hero, and a draft that he's comfortable with, they can just look as good as anyone. And that's not just against perceived lower competition. Like, whenever you cast out professionally or as a professional player, you can just tell when a team has the ability to gel that way. And Union will show you that sometimes. What the question is now that time? Is this the sometimes that they are looking for?
Right. Well, Syndron, you've not been casting the bottom of the barrel matches. What can you say about SNA? Since you've been casting all their matches.
I've been a little fortunate, I guess, this time around. We talked about it in the last game. It seems like Whitebeard, when he gets that disruptor, makes a really big impact on the game. Yeah. It's apart from that. Of course, like I said, Ush for me has been a really standout performer in this tournament so far. So has the players SNA. I feel like those two have really, when I went into this tournament looking at it, I was like, okay, Fluff and Stuff and Ike's Mike are familiar faces. They're good players. They've been at the top for a while. But for me, I feel like, honestly, if you look at the entirety of the qualifiers so far, I don't feel like they've been the two big performers on the team. Yeah. They've done their job, but these other players have just stood out, and I think that's really, really impressive when you're playing with such experienced players.
I think there's one or two games where Mike's played really well and stood out, but I think, like you say, for the most part, Ush and SNA have been, and Whitebeard, mostly for his disruptor play, but he's been amazing. And
I think for this particular matchup, I think exactly like Aaron said, Iwo is going to be a key player. He is exceptionally good at farming.
Okay.
Yep.
So I could imagine, we saw in the last, Nyx like playing late game, I think. They like getting Ush farmed, they like getting SNA farmed. If this becomes a late game kind of game, I think for Iwo, his Luna could be really good against the way Nyx plays. So that I would say would be an approach that Union Gaming could go with. At the same time, there are other alternatives. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to who executes the team fights. That was kind of Sneaky Nyx Assassins' edge in the last game. They didn't play a better early game at all than EHUG did.
I thought EHUG were in a good position. They had that 15-minute Ag Scepter and Jigglebilly. They had a really good start. But
he
the
was
team
so
fights,
strong.
Team fights just went awful. So
I agree with you, Syndron. Like, SNA plays for the late game, like the 20 to 35-minute late game. Like, they never run any more or really any less than 2 cores. It's almost always Ix Mike is going to be on a Space Creator. He's very rarely on a carry-ish hero. They might now, but most of the time he's on a Space Creator. Clockworks, Darkseers, Nixes. And so they really try to farm up SNA and Ush on 2 cores, and like the 2 core lineup really hits its stride in that 20 to 25, 30-minute mark, and that's usually where they just execute and take over.
Well,
and win
last
the
game one of those cores was a Dax as well, so they had like 2 Space Creators.
That's true.
Nurses,
That's
so
true.
Like,
They had a double Space Creator.
They, like you said, they're not big on the late game.
I think it's a common misconception that Darkseer is in the late game.
No, that's. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
That's
not,
a good point.
He's not a
That's a
really
good
late
point.
game. Yeah,
Look at
that's a
Quakefoot
good
just
point.
in the last game. I mean, whenever you looked at the bright spot in that Liquid lineup, as bizarre as it got towards the end,
he was number 1
Quakefoot
net
was
worth
there.
most of the game.
Exactly.
That's true.
And Darkseer is kind of a special hero in that regard because he becomes more and more of a carry the more carries the enemy team has, right?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
So
an
if
excellent
you're like
point.
outnumbered in late game in terms of carries, Darkseer is the utility hero, the only utility hero in the game that can really make that big of a difference.
And tons of farm on Daxi is actually kind of nice. Hex's
Yeah.
refresher we saw last game, Aghanim Scepter.
And he had like a team fight where he got 2 vac walls with 3 or 4 targets. Like you can't lose that fight almost. It's like impossible.
Right, well, we've overtalked things. We're missing part of the draft here. We're going to hand it over to AC and Cinder to cast together, I believe, for the first time.
Nope.
Take it away, guys.
One time at DreamHack one.
Oh, wow.
Going
We've
back.
done it before.
Yep. So, yes, back on the mic with you, man. A pleasure to be back.
Pleasure.
And cannot think of a better setting for it, for us to reunite. The tiebreakers, and yes, it's not quite time to decide who's going to Seattle, but this is to decide who gets a chance to decide who goes to Seattle. All of these teams have played hard. Controversy aside, I don't think it matters. Every one of these teams is ready, especially these two, to put their fate in their own hands. Sneaky Nyx Assassins getting the win in game 1. They have a chance to clinch.
I think, I mean, we've seen these both these two teams plenty of games now, and Union's approach to the game in Sneaky Nyx Assassins is they have some overlaps, but I feel like generally Union plays a very carry-oriented lineup, where Sneaky Nyx Assassins surely like playing the late game, they like playing Ush on the carry, but as Gods pointed out very clearly, Ix Mike usually plays the Space Creator role. In this game, it's really interesting for me to see Sneaky Nyx Assassins actually first picking the Nature's Prophet, which if he goes to that offlane role, which he sometimes does, or in the jungle, that puts Ix Mike, sure, you can somewhat Space Create with Prophet, but he's a much more farm-dependent hero. Why do you first pick that against Union? Were Union amazing with Prophet, or
No,
is this just like a completely blow of fresh
For
air?
what I've watched about Union, honestly, the 2 heroes that have stood out from Iowa, at least, and again, this is based on a very small sample size. We're busy all day, so you catch what you can. Maybe you catch them in the lounge. But as you said, Iwo, however it's pronounced, fantastic on the Luna. He plays a solid Kunkka as well. Those are the 2 heroes I've really seen him shine on. And as you said, Luna, as always, much more late game oriented. Kunkka, you can play kind of how you want. I mean, he can be a big damage dealer late, but he's just a hero that wants to take the fight to you. So as of right now, with the Mirana and the Shadow Demon, you know, it seems like they're just setting up a lot of lane versatility and just a very ambiguous kind of a draft. With the Nature's Prophet, I'm as baffled as you are.
Yeah, and another thing maybe we should be baffled about is that Invoker has gone through all the way to here. So the question is if Union Gaming actually wants to pick it up by now. They've banned out the Storm Spirit, they banned out TA, who is generally an amazing hero against Invoker in lane. Perhaps we're going to see that one pulled out here by Union Gaming, which I wouldn't be surprised considering how highly rated he is. But I want to talk a little bit about the Disruptor pick. Our advice here at the desk was like, perhaps you want to ban out the Disruptor against Sneaky Nyx. Let them have something else, because it's just been the story of the games when they have Disruptor, he generally performs exceptionally well.
Right.
So since Union Gaming chose to give that away, they either must have a plan about how they want to deal with that to avoid Disruptor playing the big role he does, or they just are so confident that they don't actually care and they know this guy is good on this hero, we're going to be better than him.
Right.
Nyx, I think, is a decent approach. He's very good against Prophet, too. Prophet will generally split push. It's harder to split push when you know there's a Nyx Assassin on the field. He can pretty much one-shot the Disruptor himself. And he's one of the heroes that even if you glimpse him in, he can, right before he gets glimpsed in, he can pop the Spike Carapace, and maybe you get a chance to counter-initiate, which is something most other heroes don't actually even get to do.
That's an excellent point. And, well, like you said, whenever you look at this whole lineup, one of the ways you can kind of take a Prophet, or at least his value, out of a match is generally just keeping pressure on him. Don't let him have free to run, or be free to run roughshod. Shadow Demon, Mirana, obviously any team with Mirana on is going to have the potential to set up those ganks to keep pressure on. And before Prophet really gets going with his items, before he gets up a book or however he wants to build, his split push is good, but it's not good enough to overcome a 5-man push after a nice wipe, something like that. Nyx Assassin, as you already said, excellent in that regard as well, just being able to target out single heroes, like a Disruptor, like a Prophet who's out by himself, and if the Nyx can get a good start, that's even more of a threat. Sneaky Nyx Assassin now grabbing the Enchantress, so I would say, with those two alone, push is going to be a big part of their game plan, and really when you look at what we see so far out of Union, anti-push is not really there.
Are they going to need some wave clearing, or are they going to need something in the early game to simply prevent the Enchantress from playing a big role, which Fluff and Stuff has been doing a good job on making the right decisions in the early game. It's not just about, using your microing correctly, but a big part of playing the jungler is to make the right decision to where you move around. And
right.
Enchantress is one of the heroes where a void move can cost the most, because you lose so much momentum if that gank fails, if you go to the wrong place, and of course if you miss micro, which can happen too. So. What I'm a little bit surprised by here is, I feel like if this Nyx Assassin gets a good start, he might be played in the offlane here since Union Gaming are Radiant.
Right.
This is such a good match for Nyx so far. You can't really ask for anything more than this. It's very, very easy to use the Spike Carapace against these heroes. You can pretty much solo either of them if you have a good start.
Right.
And he has a team that gels really well with what he brings to the table, so...
Yeah.
I feel like now if you're Union Gaming, you're like, okay, this Enchantress, we've seen Sneaky Nyx Assassins play before. He likes rotating to the enemy safe lane and kill out off the carry or give them an advantage there. Which safe lane carry do we want? Luna is one that could be exposed, and they're actually going to go for the Brewmaster. So last picking their carry, unless Mirana will be the safe lane farmer. Brewmaster is also really good here, apart from just be a little bit careful with the Disruptor.
Yeah, and, well, it's funny. I actually mentioned this on the other stream. Not to say it's going to be a factor at all, but Disruptor Brewmaster has always been kind of one of my favorite matchups to watch, just because of the way the heroes interact with each other and the way that a Brewmaster, as successful as he can be in the early game, a well-placed Static Storm can completely shut him down if the Disruptor is quick enough to be on top of where they think the fight's going to take place. He can control the battlefield so very efficiently, and I want you to think about the value of that when you look at what Union Gaming has drafted. Mostly maneuverability heroes that want to be in a good position, that want to be in the right position at the right time, that want to get on top of you in a hurry, and now you have a lineup with the Clockwork especially, that with the Disruptor and the Clock, you have the chance to kind of reset these battles a little bit. You have a chance to cut the battlefield in half regardless of where it's going to take place with the cogs. And yeah, I mean, Sneaky Nyx Assassin, when you look at what Union has, I mean, the Brewmaster a little bit more out there, the front three very, very typical. But this feels to me, from what I've seen of SNA throughout this tournament, this feels like a lineup that suits their play style. And I feel like Union is really just going to have to make sure that, based on listening to your analysis in particular during the opening remarks, they have to make sure that come laning phase and come the mid game, they're at even or better. I don't think that they're going to be able to get behind with this lineup and really have a chance to play forward if the Nature's Prophet gets ahead, if the Clockwork gets ahead.
I feel like a lot of that comes down to what carries get picked up last, because Sneaky Nyx, of course, they will want to take towers, but looking at their lineup, Clockwork is a hero who, in some cases, scales well into late game, but there are other utilities/space creators that just scale that much better. We saw the Darkseer in the last game was absolutely huge, which Union chose to first ban in this game as well, because they did not want to deal with that. So, Clockwork, however, one of Ixmike's best heroes, probably his best in the offlane role that he's playing right now, so that puts the Prophet pretty much guaranteed in the mid lane, where SNA has been playing that for the Sneaky Nyx Assassins. So, overall, just looking at the Sneaky Nyx lineup, I feel like as far as their lineup goes, there's a lot of pressure on Disruptors who perform, which I think they don't really mind because they can trust Whitebeard to get the job done.
Right.
Whitebeard and Ixmike are the two really key heroes to setting up kills, and they have their best heroes for that. So they definitely got that in the draft. But my question is still going to be, if teamfights break out, Union Gaming has so incredibly much control, and Sneaky Nyx don't. They have cogs, they have kinetic field, which is okay. But let's imagine they get in on the Disruptor to begin with. I can't see Sneaky Nyx Assassin's recovery plan. If Disruptor dies, they have a Prophet who does nothing, Enchantress does nothing, and they just get run over by this massive amount of control and stun and damage that Union Gaming have between their heroes. They're gonna last pick the Slark actually here to go with that, so... I really like Union's picks here, to be honest. I think it's very, very solid.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those games where positioning, I mean, and this is true of any game, but in particular, whenever you have this many heroes that are based on manipulating the battlefield one way or another, either getting into position around hazards in the battlefield, like a Mirana who wants to land an arrow, a Nyx Assassin who really, when you look at their lineup, they are going to be relying on his impales to be at least one hero every time. He can't afford to miss many. 2 heroes is what they're really going to be looking for out of him. Brewmaster's all going to be huge to find around, and okay. So we're going to last pick a Tiny for Sneaky Nyx Assassin. Slark, by the way, just to finish my thought, also fits into that. You can lock a hero down, and you're going to be able to get in and out of battles efficiently. So, talk to me about the Tiny, because that kind of shocks me based on what we already see.
Yeah, this really throws me off as well. I'm not quite sure just yet what Sneaky Nyx Assassin's plan is with this. He is a tanky carry, which I feel like makes a lot of sense to get in this lineup, because the rest of the lineup, apart from the Clockwork, is just so fragile.
Yeah.
And it might play into the whole equation that when the enemy team's carry is a Slark, if your own carry is not one of the more durable ones, Slark is an excellent anti-carry as well.
Oh, yeah.
If he runs for that Shadowblade build first, which we usually see if Slark has a good start, if you play more of a greedy carry who needs to get Midas, needs to farm up, doesn't have any defensive capabilities, Slark can actually, as a matter of fact, just solo that hero by finding him out. So for me, this for Sneaky Nyx Assassins, in comparison to previous drafts they've had, I'm not feeling this as much, to be honest. Whereas for UG, I feel like there's a very clear-cut game plan, very clear-cut strategy. They have lots of disables. They have great team fight. They want to roam around and get pickoffs. Whereas SNA seems to have like a little bit of everything. They've got some team fight with Clockwork Disruptor and the Avalanche from Tiny. Prophet Enchantress don't play into it so well. So I'm gonna say, I know this is like a really bold statement to make, but I feel like if SNA does not get off to a good, only the first 10 minutes, if those first 10 minutes they don't get something significant done, I feel like UG are just going to be rolling in towards an absolutely exceptional mid-game. All right, we're going to have something already.
Rolling in the trouble. Avalanche going to catch a bunch from the top. Cogs go down. Ewo's right there banging away on IX Mike. No significant amount of damage is really done right now. And both teams really just kind of separating. He's going to pounce onto Ush. He's locked down for the moment. There's a clap to follow, and First Blood goes to Union Gaming, coming in the underdog slightly, but all playing for the chance to advance to this tournament. Disruption inside of the Cogs. Angel right there waiting. There's an impale on the mic afterwards. Citadel has no mana. Ewo right behind him. It's a matter if they can catch him. A couple of auto attacks, about all they can give. And he's going to pounce. He goes for it under the tier 2. And just like that, creeps haven't spawned. Oh, he actually ends up dying. But
that's
regardless, no one was around to see it, so it didn't happen. Don't worry, won't tell anyone. 2-1, though, as the horn blows and we get officially underway.
And what I love about what happened just then was that this was, like, for me, the preview of what these lineups can do, right?
Yes.
So SNA, I know it's a level 1 fight, but you look at their heroes, they just, this early on, they don't have anything. Disruptor level 1, really, like, meh with that Thunderstrike.
Right.
You've got Enchantress with Enchant. Prophet couldn't provide anything, and they still chose to take that fight. It was actually SNA's decision. They could have backed off. They saw them come up, they could have dropped defensive cogs and just got out. It was very tempting for them because they had the 3-4-man Avalanche, but there's no follow-up, so they can't win that fight. And excellent pounces coming in here from Ewo, hitting 2 very important ones. And getting them off to a great start here. 2 kills for
Disruption
one.
on
That
Ush.
one kill doesn't
Here
even
in mid, arrow on the mark. Let's see if they want to follow it. Couple of auto attacks.
Is he surrounded here?
Yes, he can't move. He gets the avalanche off and will survive with just south of about 50 HP. And that was a little odd. You know, it seemed like they didn't even expect to want to re-engage her. It's a little slow. Whitebeard is coming through with an invis now, and he's set up behind Citadel. He's only got the Thunderstrike. And Citadel pretty tanky on that Brewmaster. Here comes the Courier, though.
Oh, this could be big for never mind.
Nope.
If he would have gone left there, he could have killed one of those easily with those 2 creeps, but chooses the wrong path. Mirana is going to spot them out. Of course, doesn't have leap, so perhaps Fluff can make a cute play here, actually, with the Centaur first. And the... Oh, what a play!
Stomp, and now the smash to follow it up. There's 1 kill. Fluff's right on top of them. The Centaur still banging away from behind. Shadow Demon continues to be in some trouble. Grabs a Tango, grabs a bite of a leaf on his way through. And he's not going to give up on it quite yet. Still continuing to chase him. And he's trying to juke them out. Fluff is still right behind him. There's the enchant. That should be another kill. He's got help coming in, but not going to get there in time. And Disruptor, in the meantime, is killed in mid. Now a little bit of help's coming. There's a disruption. Did he get it off? He did. No, the clap there to finish it off once again. Now Fluff and stuff just about chased away, but he has the creep support, and Zidrils has to pull back as well. Action everywhere on the map. 6 kills in just 2 minutes of action.
Yeah, I was saying before the game, Fluff needed to perform early on, and okay, go ahead, play a 1-on-2 fight, get 2 kills, get out, it's fine.
You're
can
good.
Do that.
It's fine, dude.
And yeah, with the Disruptor rotation to mid, this is something Disruptor generally does not do, gank mid early on, because sure, Glimpse is great. It's a short range in level 1 though. He doesn't have any slow or stun, but the Thunderstrike is a decent nuke, but it's enough to set them up for that kill on the Brewmaster as well. So actually, really, really good response here from SNA. Although the level 1 fight did not go their way, they don't let it affect them too much. They play to the lineup strength, which is this very, very early game Enchantress, and they made it work.
And we can already see up at top they're getting a decent amount of pressure onto this tower. Whitebeard's coming up as we see the Knicks trying to hold off the damage. The tower's already down to about half, so even aside from piling up on the kills, they're beginning to already get their push in order, and we can see the warding here in the jungle is, unique.
Yeah, how many wards do we have in that jungle? 6?
1, 2. We got 4 sentries and 1 observer. All within, I don't know, about what, 700, 800 range?
Yeah, and then there's also the one up here.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. Okay, that's commitment to trying to lock down that top jungle. Actually, we might see a glimpse here, top lane.
Brought back, he already used the carapace as well, gets the impale off, but here comes Fluff and Stuff, ready to help seal the deal. Whitebeard right in front, good body block, buying time. Centaur's in front, gets the stomp. Fantastic play as Nyx Assassins is absolutely carving this map up, making plays everywhere they go. And for this lineup, just to build on your point, the fact that the first 10 minutes matter so much, they're wasting no time. Every time they rotate, they're getting something positive.
It is really in this type of lineup, this is exactly what Enchantress needs to do. And what's the most impressive about it is that her support partner isn't necessarily the best combination to have. It's great to have the glimpse, and it paid off right there. But often you see these Enchantress rotations early on with easier setup, like a Shadow Demon, so you can land the Centaur Stomp or the Clap, or just look at nukers with significant stuns, and they're just making it work with a support duo here, which definitely has the synergy, but I'm very, very impressed, especially by Fluff's play so far. Mid lane, Sidereal. Going to be a lot of trouble.
Ends up getting Avalanche, but there's a defensive disruption. Don't know they're going to be able to turn around. Courier's sitting right on the high ground. Sidereal going to be sprouted in and gets off a little bit before he ends up dying. They're going to come and try to get a return kill. And Nyx Assassin, nope. Not allowed to stick around. Arrow actually comes from the east side, and now SNA likely to be picked off with auto attacks and will, so easy kill on the return that time. Still losing the Prophet in exchange for the Brew. Prophet's had a great start, but that Brewmaster really has to stay ahead in his levels and his gold, so taking him off of the map and continually pressuring this middle lane, feel like that's really serving Nyx Assassins well.
Yeah, and if this game goes to 50 minutes, there's obviously going to be 100 kills, because we're doing 2 kills per minute for some reason, so that's okay. I could live with that.
I love it, man.
Our bottom lane, Mike actually going to get pounced on. This is a really, really good cog, though.
Yep, cogs go down. Ewo's trapped, and yeah, Mike might end up getting a kill here. He's chasing him with the battery assault. Still there. He took some tower shots, trying to eat his way through, and yes, one last rocket flare. Increases Sneaky Nyx Assassins' lead, make it 7-3 now. Big plays everywhere for the Nyx Assassins.
It's so dangerous to pounce into a Clockwork under his tower.
Oh,
he
yeah.
wasn't really under it, but he was in range, and Mike immediately realizes in that situation he can actually just turn on him right there. So, bit of a misplay here from Ewo, who, however, is just hitting his bounces. He's been right on the money with that, but 7-3 now for SNA. This is exactly what they need in mid lane again. Sidereal will probably get glimpsed here into the Avalanche toss.
Yep, caught out and down to half health. There's the toss, held onto it a little bit longer. He's surrounded, and the Nyx Assassin there to try to help things out. Not going to matter. Brew's already down, and Angel just lucky. There's not another glimpse at the ready. But no, he tossed him. Tossed Whitebeard. He's right behind him. A couple of auto attacks might be enough. Didn't have glimpse. If he had glimpse, another kill. In the meantime, looks like they're going to go ahead and fall back, at least for the moment. And to be honest, right now, Union just feels like they're out of sorts. I don't think they expected this level of intensity this early on in this game.
I feel like for them right now, it's a matter of Mirana, Shadow Demon together taking more initiative. They've created 3 kills with both of them, which is great, but they need to make more. If you're playing a support duo like this that has such a great synergy early on in just setting up kills, you get a disruption into an era, and that's pretty much a done deal. They need to be on the move constantly. I don't think they've even looked at the top lane yet for the Nature's Prophet, which is a very, very easy kill together with the Nyx Assassin, who's now also level 6. In the bottom lane, maybe they could have taken down IX Mike a single time to get Slark an easier lane too. And just overall, it's just SNA making the better movements and just using exactly what their lineup was built to do, which was fluff, early rotations, glimpse setups again, and even the Prophet TPing in to help out. And already with the Wrath of Nature, of course, the amount of early aggression SNA can play here is just devastating to Union Gaming so far.
The kills are such a big part of it, but then you take a look at like SNA himself. SNA already has a Midas up and has had it up for quite some time.
TP.
Yep, they're coming in. There's going to be a leap out of the kinetic field. Well played there. Pounce on IX Mike, locks him down. Cogs are going to go down. That actually hit Angel, leaves him with no mana to re-engage. Here comes Tiny from the south. It's one-on-one right now with Mike and Ewo, but the fight kind of beginning to disband. IX Mike, though, he actually uses his hook just to try to stun Angel enough to secure time to get away. Oh, he actually started to auto-attack. No, he's winding up, misses with the impale. Thought he accidentally auto-attacked another creep, but instead he's able to make it away. Now a disruption coming back off of the reaction out of Union Gaming. That ends up being a 2-for-1 exchange favoring them. They got the Disruptor and they got the Tiny. So at least making up a little bit of ground here.
And again, really important here that Shadow Demon and Iran are involved so they get more levels.
Yes.
The Nyx Assassin currently is level 6. It's pretty good at 7.5 minutes. Of course, he was solo off lane, so we'll be getting some good experience. And just as important, Brewmaster was actually not there, and it did not cost him the fight. So he got his level 6. He's starting to get some more farm, looking at 1,000 gold right now, so perhaps a Blink Dagger coming in around the 12-minute mark. Since the Blink Dagger changed, Brewmaster does not have to go for those Arcane Boots first to be able to afford his abilities. And it also gives more space to Slark. So I still feel like this early game for SNA obviously looking really great, but it doesn't take more than one misstep with the type of lineup that they have to walk into a trap where all of these abilities from UG just collapse on them and make it a very, very one-sided fight.
Yeah, especially now that the Brew is 6. Like, that's so important. We talked even off camera about just how good the hero was and how much we felt like he should be played more. And a big part of that is how strong he is with his ultimate at level 6. So SNA has set themselves up perfectly in these first 8.5 minutes. Still, though, they have more work to do. And it comes down to, like you said, their lineup just being a little thin. We can see Fluff's already got 3 points into Untouchable, actually. So they're going to go ahead and take a run at Roshan now. And Medallion up on Fluff as well. So they sneak in. I don't know that they're going to have any idea this is coming. In the meantime, though, they're going to lose Mike, as the reaction was there from Union Gaming, who tallies another kill. Now, they've got 4 in bottom lane. They may decide to push through to the Tier 1 bottom.
It's still, I don't think they have a chance of getting that tower, and getting the Roshan here for free for Nyx is an absolutely huge thing. It's 9 minutes in, and you can get a Roshan with this lineup. That's really impressive. And Fluff, he's happy to tank this up. He's kind of, Roshan is, it's almost like he doesn't want to hit Enchantress, but he has to. I really don't want to hit you, but
Sprink!
Yeah, it's kind of required by the game that he does follow through with his attack, but that's going to be a really easy Roshan. He just goes to Ush, and the bottom tower wasn't even touched in that exchange, so perhaps we're going to see Nyx even rotating, or the team Sneaky Nyx Assassin rotating in here to the mid lane and try to get something more done. And I'm wondering, we're seeing Ush, he was picked as a carry Tiny in this game. His farm is okay, 36 at 10 minutes is not that good, but it could make, it could be enough. He's going for a drum first. And I'm actually wondering, in this type of game, with how their lineup is put together, if he should have gone for a blink first and then into the carry build, because they just, I feel like if he is a carry only, they still run the risk of getting overrun in team fights, and that Blink Dagger is just going to help them a lot, but perhaps the mobility build is going to be enough.
I couldn't agree with you more, and the way I always describe Tiny whenever I talk about him on stream is he's kind of a peak and valley hero.
SNA's going to get caught out.
Yep, hold that thought as Prophet caught arrows. No, actually not on the mark, so SNA making a run for it. They can do nothing but throw auto attacks. Here comes IX Mike. He has a hook at the ready. Got to spend it and catches out Jericho. Cogs go down, and the dust is there to secure yet another kill. And SNA actually gets the kill with Nature's Wrath at the same time. So, Union Gaming, little lapse of execution. That's the thing about this SNA lineup. Yes, they are thin. Yes, they can be abused if you're in the right position, but they're so good at manipulating the battlefield that if you fall asleep for a minute, you lose out on what should have been a simple kill, like right there.
It was just a really, honestly, such a good play from the Nature's Prophet here. He immediately realizes the disruption is coming. Of course, that needs to set up
Citadel
arrow.
actually got glimpsed as he was trying to ultimate. Here come the Pandas as they're coming back out. The arrow led off on Fluff. He ended up dying there in mid at the same time. But yeah, he actually spent his ulti and didn't get a whole lot out of it. That's going to be going back on the cooldown momentarily. He only has a few seconds left on the Pandas, and yeah, now he's reassembled. That was actually a really good play from Whitebeard. He glimpsed him, and it's funny. Remember that glitch I was telling you about off camera? He glimpsed him during the split, and it sent him back, and the Pandas had to all run up so they couldn't get the initiation.
So it did work that way.
Yes, it actually did work that time. Now we got a glimpse onto Jericho, and Ush there to help clean things up once again. It just feels like Sneaky Nyx Assassins is rolling and in no mood to stop.
I mean, what a surprise. Glimpse is giving them kills. I've seen this before somewhere.
Yeah, sometimes.
I think SNA are really happy whenever they get this hero, and of course, this is a huge game for them, because if they do manage to win this, they are guaranteed into the playoffs.
Done.
For UG, it is, of course, great to pick up this win. It doesn't guarantee them anything. At the end of the day, actually, it's going to be the last game for them that's the most important. And one thing we should point out, I'm not sure it was even mentioned in the previous game, if this is a three-way tie again, so the teams beat each other 1-1-1, time rating is going to be the final decider. So it does matter how long the games go, as a matter of fact. And the SNA lineup in this game, if they do lose, the way this game is going so far, I don't think it's going to be an early loss when they start their on.
Right, no, exactly. Now we're going to have Zidrils Connor into the tier 1. They're going to try to re-engage. Good damage is there, but the impetus damage from Fluff and stuff coming out of the jungle. Great Sprout. And UG giving up more. What fantastic Centaur micro. I'll tell you what, man. Fluff there was a time when he was still with Liquid when his play on heroes like the Enchantress, Chen, etc. was a little suspect. I don't think those days are here no more, man. He has been lighting it up here in this game, and again, this is under the most pressure they faced all tournament. Win and you're in. That's all it comes down to.
And they're cruising for that right now. They're 7,500 gold ahead and almost the same in experience. That's about, what is that? A 600 to 700 golden experience lead per minute that they're generating here, which is absolutely huge for their type of lineup, which just wants this to happen. And they're not going to stop. They're continuing here in the bottom lane. They're probably aware that the Brewmaster ultimate is a little on cooldown here. Arrow actually almost catches the Tiny here. If they're able to take this tier 2 tower now, that's really important. IX Mike might be the casualty. Nice glimpse!
And here we go. Fight breaks out. Mike trying to retreat, gets the cogs down. Fluff and Stuff still up front, but he's untouchable. Can't do much as a Static Storm that ends up catching out Angel. He was under cover of Vendetta. Now the Nature's Wrath comes through, just doing mass amounts of damage. Impale's actually going to catch 2, but the Impetus enough to squish the bug to the north. Jericho now caught with the Avalanche, and Ush there to help finish things off. Brewmaster is still running roughshod with his split pandas. Whitebeard trying to avoid those pandas, does end up dying to them, and now Mike's the next target. He ends up getting caught with the stone. The panda will be reassembling soon, but not before they're able to clean up IX Mike. Now it's Tiny's turn. He's going to be coming back to earth amidst a field of unfriendly faces, and now the pounce off the mark. Fluff and Stuff's there. Ush goes with the toss. Do they have the damage before they can finish him off? Ewo force the retreat, and now SNA finally helping to buy them time to retreat. So a little bit of a wonky engagement at bottom. Nonetheless, we see the tier 2 does end up dropping. Didn't see if it was denied, actually, so don't think it was. 18-9, Sneaky Nyx Assassins gives up a few at the end, but still very nice fight and a big win for them.
And with that, they've almost got a Necro 3 on the Nature's Prophet. It's a 14-minute game. He's got Phase, Midas, and almost Necro 3. It doesn't really get much better than this in terms of his net worth is so far ahead. If you pop that up, you can just see he's 3,500 ahead of the top farmer on the Radiant side, which is just a ridiculous amount at 14 minutes. So I feel like with this Necronomicon 3 coming out, it's going to be such a good item, of course. Can scout out the Nyx Assassin in Vendetta, can drain the mana of the Brewmaster so he cannot use his ultimate. It's tiny, as a matter of fact. It's just going to...
We had that on stream. It was such an assured kill, don't worry.
Oh, it was a glimpse setting it up. So,
yes, imagine that.
Who would have thought that he could pull that off? Whitebeard. I have this feeling that Whitebeard, whenever this hero gets picked for Sneaky Nyx Assassins, he's just like rubbing his hands together. He's like, all right, time to get down to work, boys. And he loves going for this Blink Dagger first, which I think is really interesting because I consider this situational in Disruptor because the glimpse range itself is absolutely huge.
Right.
But it seems to be his favorite item because he's so aggressive, he's keeping track of the enemy movements, and the only thing he needs is vision. So that 3,000 range is just ridiculous. Like, you can't outrun it. If Thunderstrike is on you, even if you have Blinks, even if you have Force Staffs, you're still going to be pulled back.
What do you think the reasoning behind that is? I mean, what immediately jumps to mind is it a survivability item as much as anything else? The idea that you're a disruptor. You have to wait for the right situation to use your abilities. You can be game-changing if you do, but if you're squishy as hell, you're not going to be building tanky. Is it something just to keep you, make it so you're always in the right position, or is it something that's kind of there just to make sure that you're living through these fights, you're gaining your levels, and you're not dying before your usefulness has exceeded itself?
I would say the keyword is more positioning than it's survivability, which, okay, in a sense, those overlap a bit, but it's more about the ability to blink Kinetic Field Static Storm at the right time. So he can get himself in position for that. It's fine for Disruptor to get killed if he lands that 3-man combo. If the enemy team wants to go on you, that's the whole point. This hero has such an amazing array of spells to use, but when they're used, he is not really that powerful. So if the enemy team chooses to focus you after that point, you're just creating space for the Tiny, for the Clockwork to get easy initiations, and that's fine. So we've seen it from Whitebeard that he uses the Blink Dagger aggressively. He's not just using it defensively. He's kind of barely using it like that. So I would say if you wanted the defensive capability, you would probably to a larger extent go for the Force Staff, which we often see Disruptors get in other games. But Whitebeard's just really making the Blink Dagger work.
19-9. Hard to believe we got 28 kills in a sub-17-minute game. Things have finally settled down, at least for the moment. But you take a look at the KD, you take a look at the overall net worth, you take a look at pretty much any metric you choose. This is Sneaky Nyx Assassins' early game, completely in their control. And the mid-game coming up soon, and the scouting report again basically outlined this, the idea that this is when they tend to do most of their work. Now, yeah, they're actually coming in, but they're just, look, they can barely deal with the push. Like, that's all heroes versus creeps, and they can barely cope with it.
Yeah, they got 3/4 of that tier 2 tower. They didn't really use anything for it. Necro 3 and a little bit of hits from Tiny and an Illusion Rune, that's all. They force TPs, that opens up the map so they go into the Radiant jungle. Love the warding coming out from SNA here. They have an aggressive lane ward in the mid lane. They have an aggressive ward around the secret shell of the Radiant. So really trying to put pressure on all fronts. And these wards set up glimpse. That's the most important thing about it. These are traditional escape routes, especially around this area with that one. You will often be able to juke here. No go against Disruptor with wards. You always get glimpsed. And in the mid lane, that ward as well covers such a big amount of ground. You can see they're putting a lot of emphasis on these wards covering these escape routes. This one sees 3 side paths. This one in the mid lane sees down here and across the entire lane. So really, the ward placement from SNA is just really, really good. And it's Whitebeard warding, right?
And
so
it's actually
kind of warding himself.
The Mike. Yeah, Mike must have seen that coming. Not sure where.
Arrow? Okay, that was kind of really far off the mark.
Yeah, Jericho was revealed there. Mike dropped the cogs and immediately force stabbed out. They're still chasing him down, though. Citadel's going to be able to get him and slow him down from behind. Whitebeard hanging out behind the fight. And Mike's going to use the hook just to get himself to a creep wave and get himself back under his own tower. Very well played, and Whitebeard just chilling, dude. Just hanging.
Yeah, he just ate a tango. I think he has a plan of like getting vision here into a glimpse, perhaps. The team backup is kind of far away. He's actually just going to run out. Okay, so... Okay, aggressive. Here we go. The glimpse.
Brings him all the way back. Fluff's right there with him. And Citadel, he was even running in the wrong direction for a moment. And there's the Static Storm. He's going to try to TP away in the face of it. Do they have the damage? Cogs are there. Knocks him down into the river, though. They can't get down. Nope, never mind. Doesn't matter. Ush was there to begin with. Swinging the big tree, securing another big kill. And that Panda has been a teddy bear, to say the least. He has struggled from the word go. He's sitting below the Clockwork in overall net worth, and he has not been the influence that Union Gaming needed him to be. And once again, Roshan up, right place, right time. Nyx Assassins just about ready to try and shut the door on this, I'm sure.
Yeah, this could be a really, really short game. So before it started, we said that the first 10 minutes are going to play perhaps the biggest role in any game we've seen in the qualifiers, or at least in... we've seen one other where it was exceptionally important as well, but when you play this kind of lineup like SNA does, the snowballing effect is really important, and those first 10 minutes, they did what they needed to do and more.
Right.
And that's why this game is so one-sided right now, because this is the kind of team where when you have that Enchantress, when you have the Prophet with such an early Necronomicon, and you have a Tiny that gets this Aghanim sub 20 minutes, together with Drums, the whole map is just so open right now that SNA can basically pick where they want to go. They can take the tier 2 tower mid if they want. They can start sieging the bottom lane, and they can just do it with summons. They can do it with no risk involved. And if there is a turnaround from UG, they better do it really well, because they'll be fighting into a lot of farmed heroes now.
Oh yeah, and Tiny picks up a Hyperstone on top of everything else. Like, their ability to just force sieges at towers now, just slowly push, slowly split push even. Oh, he actually missed with the Static Storm, trying to grab Angel.
Arrow?
Will end up barely missing.
I scored a goal.
Yeah, exactly. Split the wickets, man. Here they come back out. Angel's leading the way. There is a sentry down, though. And let's see, Kinetic Field right there, just defensively to make sure that no one's able to catch him. It looks like all of Sneaking Nyx Assassins will be able to come back. All this time, though, they're creating more space for the Prophet to farm. And look at mid, pulling them out of position. And look how quick this tower's going to drop. That Hyperstone on Tiny with the big stick at this level, that tower's already dead. Even with the glyph, it's not going to matter. It's going to drop in a matter of seconds. One big swipe. Arrow's going to be shot, not going to hit this time around either, and they might want to re-engage. Avalanche now going to end up catching out the Mirana. She retreats to the south, and the rest of Sneaky Nyx Assassins now collapsing into mid. Let's see if they want to push tier 3. Treants leading the way all the way up. Ewo eyeing his fate here in this tournament. Once again, Nyx have a chance to seal the deal and move on to the playoffs with a win right here. They have a huge lead, and they're ready to press it. Tier 3 ends up dropping. Now there's going to be a sprout onto nothing but creeps. And Mike going to end up being caught out. The Brewmaster ulti was there, so Mike might end up dying here. Tiny's been tossed into the air by the air spirit. Now he's going to come back down. There's going to be a kinetic field, though, and Ewo, trying to make a run for it, has to bounce away. Fluff and stuff in the meantime on a dominating streak, and it looks like SNA, being pursued out, just can't catch up with him. Fluff's there to try and help him. He's going to try to TP away right in his face. Lost him in the woods. Back in the main fight. We see Tiny continuing to bang away. His Brewmaster's ulti expired, but no! Big Glimpse brings it back outside of the base. He's going to drop the nothing but auto attacks, and now the damage is too much for Union Gaming to sustain. We see buybacks coming out, Brews back up. That might be enough to sustain these racks for a little bit longer, but all Sneaky Nyx Assassins has to do is reset and re-engage.
Yeah, if they get in before the Brewmaster ultimate is up again, which is in 70 seconds, they simply cannot lose this fight. And they might actually not even go back. Fluff is out of mana, who cares? Ush is on the front line, he has the Aegis still. He can play as confident as he wants, because there's like nothing to stop him at this point.
Yeah.
Fluff will get harassed a little bit here, but
Static Storm down once again, going to be a glimpse. Ewo brought on back, and yeah, Ewo has tried his best and has played like hell all tournament, but he's just undergunned right now. The damage is too much. Mike knocks him back onto the high ground with the cogs. Mike's actually taking a bit of damage, but once again, the Brew with his ult expired just can't do much. Big toss on Fluff. He's trying to chase down a very low Mirana, one impetus spear. Will make that a mega kill streak for him. Ush still up and running, and now Ewo ends up dropping buyback on Mirana in the meantime. We see Angel trying to do what he can, has a chance to maybe re-engage on Ush. Ush is taking tower damage and will end up dying. But he's actually spent clap there on an Aegis, so he'll be back up off the Aegis. Need to see the Brewmaster's ulti timing. Sidril, in the meantime, it caught out. Nice disruption, though, from Jericho. However, Mike is there with the cogs to just throw a kink into things once again. Arrow's going to fly right on past him. Whitebeard, who has done so much work now, trying to use the kinetic field as aggressively as he can. The racks are down in mid, up atop the tier 3, just about to drop, and this just feels like basically they're just being brute forced. I don't know that they can do anything about it. Hell, rich get richer. They're giving Assault Cures to Tiny.
yeah, if there was any doubt whether Sneaky Nyx Assassins were the favorites going into this tiebreaker, I feel like they've just pretty much silenced it. The previous game, okay, let's actually just wait and see this fight develop here. So Ush is going to do some damage here. Actually, really aggressive play here from SNA and the Nature's Prophet. Okay,
It's not a fight,
it's
it's
a
a
commitment. Get killed. But it doesn't matter.
massacre,
The melee
man.
racks
Yeah, it's
are-
a massacre.
actually, maybe they held them here a little bit. Yeah, I guess SNA's getting all excited already.
Arrow, yeah, that actually did catch the Tiny. Here's Whitebeard, though. Big kinetic field and a static storm. He was locked down, as is Angel. There's going to be a glimpse, just for the hell of it, apparently, because Mirana only moved about an inch there. They do manage to track him down, and now Mirana, running for the well, Nature's Wrath can outrun the wrath of nature. Another set of racks is down, and this looks to be the conclusion of the group stage of the America qualifier. We see Brew's going to go with his split. You got to fight to the bitter end. Don't blame him a bit. Whitebeard still making a run for it. Might end up getting away if he gets a little bit of help. We actually see the Air Spirit tossing Tiny back into the air. Rock, nope, comes up a bit short. He short-armed it. Fluff there along it. They're still fighting this out, man. They are fighting
Nyx
for their
is really
lives.
trying to hit him.
Hey, he's still up for the moment. Here comes the hook, though. Mike coming in to help.
Vendetta! Look at him!
Fluff and Stuff now using Nature's Attendance and healing all the way back up. What a run it's been, man. But like you said, I think Sneaky Nyx Assassins has proved a point here in this game.
Yeah, and that of course will mean that this is over. This is going to be easily going to be the end of the game here. They got Mega Creature, they're going to take the Ancient at this point. So it's going to mean that Nyx Assassins are secured, but of course it also means that time rating will not be a factor.
Yep.
As we have Union Gaming going up against EHUG for the last game. So the winner of that game, no matter how long or short it goes, will be the second team in the playoffs to join Nyx. And I feel like if Nyx can make this kind of early game lineup work against the obviously the favorites coming in into the playoffs in Team Liquid and in North American Rejects, if they can play this kind of snowbally early game, they have a great chance. I just think that with all the games we've seen today, SNA will not get Disruptor anymore in this tournament. I don't understand why you would give it away. Give them another top tier hero, take a trade, just don't give them their comfort zone #1 hero. Fluff's Enchantress, I feel like it's been a little bit on and off in this tournament so far. He's had some really good games. He's had some games in which maybe didn't come online as much as you would like, but just, yeah, they really got their heroes, I have to say, in this game.
Yeah, and, coming out of the draft, you really hit the nail on the head, man. First 10 minutes, very important, and we see what happened, what the result was of a phenomenal laning phase and a phenomenal first 10 to 15 minutes. And that'll do. The group stage is now at an end, and we have our teams.
No,
Gentlemen.
we've got one more.
We're playing it
Jump
out
the gun,
anyway.
AC.
We're playing it out anyway.
There's 2 spots, remember?
Oh, that's right. You're
We
right.
know Sna's in, though.
Oh, yeah, Stall's
Yeah.
definitely in. Yes, I completely forgot that it's still necessary to play the other game.
Right.
Fantastic.
We have one game
Yes.
which it all comes down to for Union
Yeah.
as well as EHUG. The game that was not played during the group stage.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
It's like
That's
the perfect
fun part.
storyline, isn't it?
It's
like,
man, the irony is just brilliant.
Yep.
It couldn't have been. You couldn't have written this. It's
Yep.
it's incredible. So that game though, I mean, SNA looked good. They showed that they deserved to in the playoffs, and I think most people felt that way. They kind of had a few slip ups during the group stage, which they shouldn't have. But end of the day, they are without a doubt in the top 3 next to NAR and Liquid.
And not only that, they did it convincingly. Most
Yeah,
of
they
their
did.
wins were pretty open and shut in terms of who the better team appeared to be in the game. So
Right.
I think that actually bodes pretty well for SNA going into the playoffs, that they could be one of the teams to take some games off NAR or Liquid. Because SNA actually beat NAR in the group stages. So.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
The one thing which looking at that game, just to my analysis was, I think Slark went a completely awful build. He maxed
Yeah.
Essence Shift.
Yes, I saw that too.
I was like,
that out.
against an Enchantress for one thing. Enchantress is like terrible HP. You can't kill an Enchantress with Essence Shift though. And also against the Clockwork in the lane, like you get a couple extra right clicks off. Sure, you get to steal those stats for a long time, but you're not going to kill him with those extra stats. You're going to just push him back.
And he went first and only item Scotty as well, which I feel like is so greedy when your team is behind. Get him more. Really, the Shadow Blade in this game that he could have perhaps had at the right time might have given them some pickoffs. But I still feel like, to be honest, the item build of the Slug in this game doesn't matter. They were crushed all over the place. They lost their entire map in 20 minutes.
If he went for Pounce Darkpack, though, I think he could have...
It could have been a different game.
He could have won his lane, and then he could have roamed in, like you say, completely different game. You can shut down the Enchantress, you can control the entire game with the damage output from Pounce plus Darkpack. I think that was... hands down, possibly something with, like you say, completely different game if he'd done that, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, that was just, to me, a weird choice.
I think Iowa really thought this game was going to go later and that he was really going to have to push for a more late game build on Slark. But if he's going to do that, like, honestly,
way, you can go late
that's
game.
what I'm saying. Honestly, what he should have done. Exactly. No, I agree entirely. I'm saying he thought it was going to go one way, but his decision was still bad because even if he gets a Midas is a better early game fighting item than like a point booster, or like it takes way too long to get an ultimate orb.
Yeah.
So it's tough. An ultimate orb's still probably better than a hand of Midas, but like it's just an awful build-up if you're going to be fighting in the
I don't understand the point of that.
Like the Scotty is just arguably one of the worst build-ups for an item in the game because the stats that Ultimate Orb give you are not cost efficient at all.
It's one of the least cost efficient items in the game.
So it's just a really rough build-up if you're going to have that much pressure in the early.
And we talked about in the draft how good Nyx could be in this game because of how fragile the Dire heroes were. There was a Disruptor, there was an Enchantress, there was a Nature's Prophet. Go for the burst build on Slark. Get a Shadow Blade and go solo kill one hero after the other. You can find them with Nyx and get it done.
And Prophet against like a Prophet who's often solo pushing or often on his own.
Prophet was left completely alone.
I mean, sure, you don't have a stun to stop his TP, but you can maybe kill him before the TP comes off with the Shadow Blade. So,
right.
Yeah.
It was weird.
They'll have a chance to redeem themselves against.
They will.
Yes.
Ehug.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite?
I haven't seen enough of Union, I don't feel, but
I haven't seen Ehug at all.
I honestly just feel like I don't know how strong either team is right now, which is weird because I've seen 2 days of non-stop action from all these teams. So I feel like I just haven't seen enough of either team's games. Like I've seen like 2 or 3 of each.
Right.
And I just don't know if I can give a clear answer.
I took a peek at NA Dota. Ehug is on tilts. One of their players, I think it was Justin, posted that he was ready to go to sleep after the Liquid whatever game, and he was not expecting to have to play Tiebreakers, and they are not in a very happy situation. So I think they're a little upset with what's going on. That might be motivation and fuel, but as we saw against SNA, they didn't seem to be terribly coordinated.
What if the series just ends with Ehug not being able to be 5-man? They're too late. Justin went to sleep. No show for the final game. You know, then we've kind of had the whole thing.
Gone full circle, truly. Then
that would be full circle if they don't show.
Yeah, I think Union they honestly probably were not expecting to be in the playoffs because they had their last 2 matches against Liquid as well as NAR, and they're probably looking at it like, guys, we're
been a good run.
Yeah,
it's been. We'll give it our best, but let's. Well, and that might have been an element in it too. Like there comes a point where you're playing with house money, where you're looking at it just like, you know what, no one expects us to win this, so I would just give it the old college try, man. Just play the hell out of it and see what happens. And
but now they know they have a shot. So
here they are.
So.
It'll be interesting to see, regardless.
Yeah, I think Ehug I think Ehug's a slightly stronger team as far as individual skill goes, but I think
I'd agree.
I think skill is not is one of the things that matters less when you go into this matchup, considering they are very close in skill. It's not a big enough skill difference.
I would say if we had the first game Ehug played against Sneaky Nyx Assassins, if that was Union Gaming on the other side instead of Sneaky Nyx, and Ehug got the early game they got, I think they would have won that game.
Okay.
I feel like Nyx Assassins are more experienced. They have really good individual players who can play from behind like they did in that game.
Right.
I think a team like Union Gaming, as we saw in this game, if they get off on the wrong foot, I think Ehug is actually going to roll them. I don't think it's going to even be a close game if Ehug gets a good start. But at the same time in that game they had against Sneaky Nyx Assassins, they had a good start, but that was a game that I feel like they should have actually won that game. Right. So perhaps getting a good start for them is not going to be enough, but I still feel like the team that gets the early advantage here, neither of these teams are good comeback or late game teams. Apart from, for UG, if they get that safe carry farm on Ewo, if he gets like fully free reign, if he gets free reign, the team can let him farm. they're going
And
to
they
do
play
well.
around him.
Yeah,
in the late game.
exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the strategy.
I
they
think
need to
that's
play.
really their scouting report is as EWO goes, so goes that team. And not to say that great plays don't allow EWO to excel, but every time we've seen EWO have a rough game or not have a good start, this tends to be the result. Or something very, very
They
similar.
don't play well from behind.
No.
Generally.
No.
Okay.
And that's what Sneaky Nicks does,
Yep.
Yeah.
which is why they're in the playoffs.
All right, well, we've been talking about that game a lot, guys. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the TI4 qualifiers presented by Monsters is going to be live with our last match from day 2. Don't go anywhere.